check.
What happens when camping turns into pure nightmare fuel? Tonight, we're exploring some of the most unsettling camping encounters caught on camera. Stick around to the end of each video to find out why you should consider staying home. Trespasser. Imagine stumbling across an abandoned house while on a camping trip, then deciding to forgo your tent and stay the night at an abandoned house instead. No, it's not the plot of a horror movie gone wrong. It's exactly what the man in the following video decides to do. And his decision is something that will live with him for the rest of his life.
I'm fairly used to this place now. I'm used to where I am. I'm happy with my surroundings. I'm going to spend the night there. On my own.
The house in this video is not your average abandoned house either, looking like something out of the early 1800s. With sod for floors and brick for walls, it's pure nightmare fuel. This house has definitely been abandoned for decades, there's no doubt about it. Once the man makes his way up the stairs, he finds a metal bed frame and what's left of a mattress, and for some reason, he decides that it looks like a fine place to sleep. He turns on his camera to record himself sleeping, as he's supposedly investigating the paranormal. But it turns out tonight, it's not the paranormal that he should be afraid of. As he attempts to sleep, he is rattled by what sounds like the sound of many soda cans being dragged across a metal floor. The noise grows louder and more strange as it slowly begins to sound like the roof is being pelted with hail. The noise all of a sudden stops and grows quiet, right until the man begins to hear the sound of footsteps coming up the stairs. So, makes the intelligent decision and decides to hide. As he's settled into his hiding place, a figure appears at the door with a flashlight, peering into the room to see if anyone is there. The figure looks around for a while until they move along to another room entirely. The man sits there, terrified, and slowly waits for the figure to move through the rest of the house to avoid getting caught. He does manage to make it out alive this time, but hopefully he's learned his lesson. Don't go playing Goldilocks when there's always the threat of a bear. Spooked horse. There's nothing like a daylight horse ride back to camp to calm the nerves and get away from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. That is, until something so absolutely shocking peers out from behind a tree, spooks the horse, and it all becomes a very fast, terrifying nightmare. That's exactly what happens in this next video, which features some footage that will definitely rattle some. So if you are easily spooked, get ready for something like you've never seen before. While there's no context to this clip, it was uploaded by a now defunct Reddit account. It certainly has a way of staying in your brain. It begins with what looks like a rider upon a white horse in a deeply vegetated forest in the middle of the day. As the two make their way further into the forest, they begin to hear some strange screeching sound in the distance. The person, who is holding a video camera, zooms further into the forest and manages to spot a creature, one certainly not yet classified by science. That's for sure. It looks almost alien in nature, with an elongated head and wide, hollow eyes. The horse notices it too and gets totally spooked. The clip unfortunately ends there. Whatever that was, one thing is for sure, we definitely are not alone on this planet. Summoning spirits. If you have the lights off, it's absolutely recommended to turn them on for this next one. You might just thank us later. After all, this is one of the more stranger videos we've featured, so proceed with caution. That being said, it begins rather innocently, peacefully even, as a man is practicing throat singing on a live stream in the forest behind his house. He manages to catch the attention of a doe, and she is totally entranced by the man's odd but captivating way of singing. The man certainly has his way with forest creatures, that's for sure, as he seems to have summoned, something else too. It's hard to notice in the video at first, but when a few of the man's livestream audience pointed out there was something strange moving behind the deer, it became very obvious indeed. In the background, two strange figures emerge from the brush, looking pale and off-color. They move very strangely and don't stick around for too long. It's a blink and you'll miss it capture, but they're there and they're quite terrifying indeed. What's weirder is that the singing man in the video goes on to explain that he lives in the country, so it's not two people walking along a path or something like that. It's his family's own backyard, so whatever he caught on camera was definitely not welcome there at all. Look out! What sounds more terrifying? Encountering the paranormal in the middle of a dark, remote forest, or coming face to face with a stranger? There are those who would say the paranormal and be completely justified in that response. This next video is a good example of that. It begins with a group of friends who are on their way to their campsite for the night, when all of a sudden, they pass a man that is behaving a little too erratically for their liking. It's pitch black outside, and the man is seemingly walking in the middle of nowhere, which isn't something you'd really like to see just as you are about to make camp. It's really dark, mind you, and the group have traveled hundreds of miles to this forest to camp. The closest town is hours away, and they are all shocked by seeing someone walking alone in the dark, so far away from civilization. Despite all of this, they decide to set up camp anyways. As they continue along into the forest, they find several remnants and ruins of the First World War, which isn't probably a great place to camp in retrospect. The further along they get, they begin to hear strange noises along the tree line, along with the sounds of branches breaking in the distance. As the group continues to explore, one of them flashes their light right at the tree line and holds it there for a while. That's when things take a turn for the worst. Suddenly, a figure runs fast between the trees, looking as if they are wearing some kind of mask.
I'll check.
The figure moves quickly, and it definitely looks and seems human. But who's to know exactly? Safe to say though, the last thing you want to encounter in the middle of a forest is someone or something in a mask. Appalachian Nightmare. One thing is for certain, the last place you'd want to go camping is anywhere in Appalachia, where unexplained, mysterious, and bizarre, unsettling encounters are just part of the day-to-day. Everyone who lives there has at least 24 personal experiences, and it's considered to be one of the most haunted places in the world. You might know Appalachia as the home to infamous creatures like Mothman and Bigfoot, but they're also famous for their skinwalkers, the Bell Witch, and even Wendigos. There are 2 rules that every Appalachian must follow. Never be in the woods from dusk till dawn, and don't look too hard in the trees. The guy in the next video must not have been from around these parts, as he manages to disobey both rules simultaneously. And boy, does he pay the price. As soon as the recording begins, he manages to notice some movement happening in the trees. He's trying to make his way back to camp, but he has gotten himself turned around a time or two, as everything around him begins to look the same. Just as he's getting himself turned around, a large, looming shadow creature peeks out from behind a tree in the distance. It's easy enough to make out, and the more you look at it, it looks as if it's made from pure light, of total blackness. The video ends there, and there aren't any more uploads to the channel it came from. Let's hope that Appalachia didn't claim another victim. The Watcher. Staying in a cabin during Christmas time is supposed to be fun, full of joy and laughter, tidings and good cheer, right? Well, it's basically the opposite of what happens in this next video, as a Christmas nightmare rears its ugly head. A young woman is finishing up a chapter in her book and is getting ready for bed. It's Christmas Eve night, snow is drizzling lightly outside, and her partner are waking up early to open presents. As she's winding down, she looks out the window and discovers a very tall man outside, seemingly just standing there, watching her intently. The man is freakishly tall, almost unnaturally so, with a pale, sunken face. Her and her partner manage to call the police, and they intervene, ultimately deciding the man isn't doing anything wrong. The night after the incident, the man is back at it again, staring right into the window, unflinching. They contacted the police again, and the police made an arrest this time, as the man appeared to be unwell, claiming that he was schizophrenic. What would you do in this situation? Would you call the police or go out and confront the man yourself? Let us know down below.